turn this around, say welcome to our live stream for the PUB.R final. There's final setups happening. This competition is about cooking an English breakfast, and we've got 2 teams that have qualified for the finals. One is from EPFL, that's the great team, and one is from Tsinghua University. They call themselves the Discovery team. We have 2 slots. Both teams have about 40 minutes each to go through all the various tasks that we have set up for them. And EPFL goes first and Tsinghua goes second. And I'm going to just turn this around again. You see the final setups here being made, and then hopefully we will soon be ready to see a robot making us some breakfast. I really need it. Yeah. The hotel breakfast wasn't particularly great, so I hope this is an improvement over that.
Ready to start? Okay. So let's go for it.
So, and there the timer started, and we will see how the robot begins making us a breakfast. A good breakfast, of course, is composed here of beans, tomatoes, mushrooms, and toast. And I think the EPFL robot has decided to start preparing the breakfast by going for the beans first.
Go on.
And it's going. We see here's the serving side. So there's the preparation side, there's a chopping board, there's a hob here. And these beans here are served cold, which is part of the rule books. The beans don't have to be cooked. As part of the competition, the teams can decide to cook tomatoes and mushrooms and make some toast as well. That looked very neat.
All the beans need to come out.
No bean spillage. No, not all beans have to come out. Very nice handling.
Wow.
So the robot here is acting completely autonomously, but the teams had time to prepare for this particular setup. So they know well where these positions are, but of course these positions can change a little bit.
So well done with the beans.
Well done. What's the next object we're going for? Are we going for the bread?
Yeah, the injector is on. It's on.
Yeah, it's on. It's on.
Yes.
Did you unblock the...
Good.
It's having a bit of a think whether it really wants to make bread.
The cable's hitting bit.
So looks like it's checking out where the toaster is. We see these markers on the toaster lever as well, which help you to identify where exactly that lever is.
You have 1 or 2 cameras on the wheels? Just one.
And picking up a slice of bread turns out to be quite a challenge for robots. It's now scanning to see where the bread actually is. And I'm curious to see which strategy they use to get the bread. Okay, it's first a bit of a sliding action to get it to the edge of the plate.
It's always a little bit chill.
And then that's a very interesting grasp. Is there? Ooh, it's there. It's there. Now the challenge is finding the slot. And here, wow. Yes, it's in the slot.
That's very well inside, better than yesterday. Yes. There was an improvement over that.
So now the challenge is to turn the toaster on. And then the next challenge is not to burn your fingers. Interesting use of the embodiment of this robot here. That was a knuckle-operated toaster.
But both teams performed very well on all the challenges and all the cooking, and it's impressive to see that even small.
And this is an actual toaster, so we have to
Things
wait
like
for the
food,
toaster to be ready.
40 seconds.
And now they really are going very smoothly on everything. It was not. It was
Nice.
not very nice of us to
5
put
minutes in.
40 minutes time slot, and then they have to wait for 1 minute and a half.
This is not the speediest toaster of all.
But it makes a nice bread.
I think that yesterday the most impressive part of both teams was the cutting the tomato.
Oh.
It was almost done perfectly.
Ooh,
As
approaching.
Yesterday, we waited here and we were concerned that the heat from the toaster would affect the hands. We had the delay above it now, so we don't leave it
okay,
over the heat
nice.
for as long.
It must. So, I certainly wouldn't do this. Right? It would be a bit too hot for me.
We want
I
to
think.
catch it kind of as it
Ah.
so that's why we kind of want to be there.
Now it's like 1 minute past, but like toaster doesn't go up. So
There we go. Toast is ready.
The toast properties changes after it's toasted, so it was very interesting to see.
It's
that
much more
the bread
stiff now.
behaves differently.
Let's see. You also look at the visual appearance of the served breakfast.
Wow.
Wow, very nice.
it's like rotate it a lot.
We're just going to move it over
Yeah, yeah.
and then we're going to
Good. So, as part of the competition, the teams don't have to necessarily complete every single step. They get points for the different subtasks of making
Make sure the
breakfast. So here's a manual intervention now.
Is this the right way? And actually, no, it's not. Wait. Can you just
I'm
hold
trying
it
to
right
find
there?
out what the manual intervention is.
Other way.
Other way. You sure?
What are you guys preparing for now?
For the mushroom.
For the mushroom.
Mushrooms.
Okay.
The mushroom.
And why is a manual intervention needed at the moment?
Because you are from like the motion that from going from here to there, it can have sometimes in the internal planning things.
Right.
Like that. That's
Singularity
and
and
then it can go like weird motions with the hands, so we're just like for safety
Okay.
we don't do it.
Belly.
Okay.
So I've heard that
Tongs in the right place.
the next one they're going for is the mushroom. As part of serving a mushroom, it needs to be chopped. So we will hopefully see some cutting action via the robot soon.
Good.
Oh wait. Yeah.
There we go.
You have to cut it.
Okay.
As it becomes clear, so it's not necessary that all actions are carried out without any intervention here. So the individual tasks are separated, and the team can interject and interact with the environment in between. But then the actual action itself has to be carried out autonomously.
Yesterday, create teams prepared both tomatoes, hot and cold, but they didn't have the mushroom. So this is a
So
completely new
this is a
task
new-
for today. Yeah.
It's a new one, and here there's first a vision challenge to see a white mushroom on a white plate, and then of course the challenge is to really grasp that one. Clear. One of the real innovations of this team is the dexterous hand that they have designed here. Trying to get a better view. There we are. Rob is about to grab the knife. That also explains why we have the cage around this setup here, because now we have a robot wielding a knife, and I can tell you it's a very sharp knife.
10 minutes past that, just for your reference.
Viewers also see the timer, the countdown on the screen. Here comes the challenge of chopping a mushroom.
Yes, lovely. We're cleaning it, right? And taking off the stem.
I don't know if anyone has ever attempted to chop a mushroom single-handedly without
Cut is perfect,
holding
it's
it.
two nice half well separated, it's full scope. In this case it's not properly cut. So do you want to do manual intervention or try it again with another mushroom?
So participants have the chance to decide whether they want to repeat that particular subtask. They have up to 3 attempts for each subtask, but they don't get the full score anymore, so the scores are halved for every attempt. I think the team has the team decided to have another go?
Yeah, you decided to have another go, right? Manual intervention. Manual intervention. So it's
Yeah, so they're going to cut it. They're going to cut it by hand to then be able to carry on and manipulate the 2 halves of the mushroom.
So you don't get the score for cutting the mushroom, but you get the score for putting back the knife. Okay?
So I invite the viewers to actually have a look at the rule book, and you'll see that each of these subtasks receives scores. And so now they are carrying on with the chopped mushroom to manipulate the 2 halves and serve those. Again, we see this is the perception part. So the system is looking for those halves to then plan the trajectories and grasp them. Again, very difficult for me to provide a proper view of this.
Very nice.
The first mushroom half is in the pan.
When the teams are cooking the food, they cannot touch the food after the pan is on. They have to touch with the tools. So basically, this team will use the tongs to touch the mushrooms and the tomatoes when they are in the pan.
That was Marcello Callisti, our umpire for this competition.
The bad guy controlling everything.
Ah, exactly. He's very strict. He is very strict. And we do have
Very nice.
2 halves in the pan. Excellent. The next challenge is to operate this induction hub that we've got here. And it's particularly difficult because it's just a touch display. And we'll see how that works.
There are shadows, the color are not very...
Exactly, the symbols are trouble. I always fail to operate these types of hubs. Oh, it is turned on,
nice.
and now it's setting the temperature.
Okay.
1.
We don't want to hot mushrooms. We don't want to burn.
You don't want to burn them. That's very good.
It waits for 10 seconds and then it goes, but it was very nice. Yesterday this task failed, and now they did it perfectly fast and them. Very well done.
Well done.
Turning off
So
as well.
we
Very well done.
sped this up a little bit, and it turned the hob off again. So we didn't want to wait all the time until these mushrooms are actually well done. But
They are well done.
they are well done. Oh, I was told the mushrooms are well done now.
That's how you like them, right?
Taking this
And-
off? No, I'm just holding it back in case it...
So the next challenge is to manipulate the hot food. the hot, the fairly, the slightly warm food. Nice cold. And so it is about using tools to manipulate objects now. As you can see, the tools were allowed to be retrofitted a little bit to make some of the manipulation easy. That's one of the challenges, of course, for the future of such a competition, to really work with off-the-shelf tools without any modifications to them.
Oh.
Very nice. There is a first hot, steaming hot mushroom. Nicely placed. Excellent.
As you see, elements move. They don't know exactly where the mushroom will be because they rotate a little bit. When they are dropped down, the pan was moved a little bit. So there is really a lot of adaptations on the go. The tool changed then the factor position basically. So it's a very nice display of changes of problems during the motions.
Now looking for the second half. Teams get points for each of these individual items. Every single item gives them a score. And even, yeah, picked up the second half nicely.
Okay, well done.
Excellent. And placing the tool back where it belongs. I have to say, they leave this kitchen much more tidy than I normally do when I'm cooking.
Next is cold or hot tomato? Cold tomato.
So the next piece of serving is the cold tomato.
Right, we're doing it.
Right, there's a team has decided to have an intervention manually at this point. So the next step will be to prepare a cold tomato. That means taking a tomato, chopping it in two halves. And we know from experience last time that chopping tomatoes is particularly challenging due to the tough skin. So to cut it all the way through is a massive challenge. And then they will serve the two halves of the tomato first, and then carry on potentially cooking a tomato as well. And that would make a full breakfast by our definition.
The tomato
Good. They are just preparing it, cleaning.
That's like cut tomato.
no, it's just like a bit old, but
Okay. They're quite picky with the quality of the tomatoes here.
Yeah, it was the big one, sorry, because it was a little fraction.
Right. Okay. So it was it was a trial tomato. So we've swapped them out for a fresh one here. Swap this round. Actually, quite a bit bigger view now, hopefully. So this was not an intervention with the system; it was just the preparation of the scene, swapping out the tomato. That has no impact on the scores. So they're preparing now to look where all the items are again. checking where these tomatoes are, because they can be arbitrary positions. So the plate position isn't fixed, the tomato position isn't fixed. So first is a vision challenge, then to plan the trajectories and the right grasp to pick up these objects. And here we might see the first attempt on a tomato. There we go. That worked. Now the challenge is to put it on the chopping board and not lose it while you are taking it there. I'll move a little bit.
Yeah, halfway through. Yeah. Ready?
So next one is to pick up the knife, and again you see that the knife has been slightly modified. This is to prevent it from rotating in hand, because keeping a firm grip on a hand requires quite some on the knife requires quite some force that exceeds what this hand should do. So they are a bit cautious here to not exert too much force, which could damage the quite expensive hand here. So we see nice firm grasp around the knife here.
Scary, having a hand that That's the center of the tomato.
It is, so really tricky to do this single-handed. And finding the center, that is beautifully cut right in the center.
He has to be perfectly separated, otherwise it's half points.
I don't think it's fully separated. Just go.
Wow.
It's impressive.
We get more points.
As we heard, the Marcello, the judge, is extremely strict that this needs to be completely separated, and I think there's a bit of skin left at the bottom.
Yeah, that's off the point, but it's incredibly difficult to cut this last bit.
Yeah. So they will just
lift it and see if it's actually cut it.
yes, to try lift it up, and there's a bit left here, so we're gonna finish the cutting, and you can see just how much dexterity is required also by the human to do this properly. So, but now we're back to two halves, and they are the beautiful halves.
Tricky stuff, this.
Yeah, well, so we put the right rules book, right? Exactly, looking at the problems that can arise. But at the point, food manipulation is incredibly complex because food change properties as we interact with it. So now, grasping the tomatoes is a completely different challenge than grasping the tomato before when it's integer, because in this way it's more squishy, then the fingers can got liquid on themselves, so they reduce the friction. It's very interesting challenge for robots to be capable to adapt to the different situations that happen in the preparation of a breakfast. It's even difficult for human every now and then. So.
So this is the cold tomato, so it's directly served, doesn't have to be cooked. And it is on the plate. The plate gets increasingly crammed, of course, with all the ingredients. So the team only gets the full points if the food actually is on the plate, not if it is on the table. Beautiful picking up of the second half. And the team has got about 16 minutes. 16 minutes left. Beautiful. They're very good. They're very good on time here. So they have got 16 minutes left to complete one final task. That is cooking tomatoes. The hot tomato, or the
open the cage.
Sorry. Oh, sorry.
No, no worries.
We'll just hold it.
Sì.
Just make sure the pan is in the right place.
So again, similar intervention as we've seen before.
And then the pan. And the mic's okay?
Like a bit of mushroom.
Oh, careful with the knife, please.
They can cook me breakfast.
Oh, here. Just introducing our judging panel. Say hello.
Hello,
Say who you are.
I'm Giacomo Picardi from Spanish Council of Research.
Excellent. And Marcello.
I'm Mike Mangan from University of Sheffield and Opteran.
Excellent. So we're gonna move on.
Introduce yourself as well.
Oh yeah, I should introduce myself. Thank you.
Holmes looks fine.
I'm Mark Hanada, and I'm also part of the judging panel here. And this competition is co-sponsored by the AgriForward CDT, Moley Robotics, Bico, and Frontiers Publisher. Enough of the uninteresting talk. We are looking forward to see the next tomato grasping and chopping action.
14 minutes, huh?
So we see the next tomato is placed on the chopping board correctly.
So it should be fine.
So we also see that it has to handle different shapes, different sizes, different weights. They're not allowed to pick a particular tomato. We have boards, just standard supermarket tomatoes and mushrooms. So flexibility in handling the different objects here is key. These systems are not trained on that particularly instance, but have learned how to handle the classes of tomatoes, mushrooms, etc. Again, time to pick up the knife.
We'll restart this.
So that's the second
We start-
trial.
Second.
Yeah, what happened is that the knife is slightly tilted, the QR code, and so apparently seems that they are not capable of identifying the knife.
So
Now the QR code is tilted in the proper position so that the camera can detect it and move forward. When they restart a specific task, the points are awarded half of them, and then they can restart the task up to 3 times.
yeah, and the third time is only a quarter of the maximum points
Excellent.
available.
Wait, what?
So you get a
You-
less...
You get less points if you do the second trial and the third trial.
Okay. We'll go down first.
That's what it's doing. So.
There they got the tomato again. Again, the placement worked and grasping worked in the first instance already, so that was
Exactly.
that was achieved in the first attempt anyway. It was
Yeah,
about
yeah.
the picking up the knife, which
Exactly. The second attempt is only on the knife, of course, on grasping the knife.
Ah, I see. Oh, not for the whole thing.
No,
No.
no.
Oh, that's okay.
so now this time it saw the knife.
Second attempt on the knife went smooth.
Again, for the really tricky bit of chopping the tomato in half. It's not quite as nicely centered as in the last try. It's they skinned a pace off here.
It's very
So
challenging.
you see
Cutting
exactly
the tomato is very challenging.
it's a round
They are known as,
object.
Tomato to half, or do you want to say?
Are you attempting again to cut the tomato? Manual intervention, okay. So the knife back in place.
Again, so the tomato was cut, but it wasn't cut in half and it wasn't cut through. So this is not the full points, but it was a clear cutting attempt here.
Sorry?
Yes. So, see, one of the important things for a competition like this is that one actually has to have the flexibility also to move on from one task to the other, even if one may not work fully. The system must be reliable and configurable enough to carry on doing the rest of the job. So, again, vision challenge, finding the right pieces and then planning the trajectory to grasp them. This time, this should end up in the frying pan. And the first half is in. Excellent. So there's another optional ingredient that this team is not attempting, that is cooking a scrambled egg. So there's more opportunity to get some scores. I can see why they may not want to attempt that at the moment. And applause, both halves are in the frying pan. I expect that this will also be cooked rare, yeah. But again, you can appreciate the challenge now to operate this hob.
Oh wow!
It's turned on, and now it's setting the temperature up.
Brilliant.
The hob is on. The food is cooking.
10 seconds a day, we'll try to switch it off.
Thanks for the sound effects. Excellent. So they turned the hob on and off again. We assume that the food is ready. So, by the rule book, the teams are not allowed to touch the hot food with their hands, so they must use a tool. This team has opted to choose these tongs to pick the food out. There's other alternatives, of course. One can also grab the frying pan and pour it out. And there's different ways how this can be solved, but just the hand itself or the manipulator itself cannot be used. This is probably the last subtasks that needs to be completed here.
There are just 6 minutes left.
Is to pick these tomatoes out and serve them, and then the overall cooking job is pretty much done, and we should have a nice plate. Yes.
Now the other tomato is in a very strange position. So let's see what will happen.
Cooked tomato on there, and now comes a very challenging one because it has maneuvered itself to the edge of the pan. So let's see how that works. Seems to be some hesitation whether it should drop the tool or not. Whether I should actually attempt this.
I found find it.
It's looking for it.
Shot for like, I think it's fine. I think it's just a
Oh, that's the problem. Ah, what a shame. As we thought, that may be one of the tricky bits here. I'll need to step away.
They opened the other way.
So they've just put the tomato into the tool manually. We saw it was exactly as we kind of anticipated, that the position very close to the edge of the frying pan turned out to be problematic here. But they can still get some scores for taking and leaving the tomato and serving the tomato.
Back and then the trial is over.
And now they are going to.
We'll be back and then the trial is over. Perfect.
And the tool has been returned to its position.
Well
Excellent. So that concludes the cooking part. Will you just tell us what comes next?
And what comes next, they will bring the breakfast to the judges' table, and the judges that were introduced before will ask some questions in which the computer, in this case not the robot, will reply in natural language. And then after that we will have an interview on the technical bits, asking additional questions, and points will be awarded from 0 to 50 related to how the things were implemented, how robust they were, and how the food appeal on the plate. So
we're going to need some space here just to make sure that we have the place at this table. So
Mike, we need
you here. So there is our dish served to us. The teams could get many more points here if they would do the serving also with the mobile robot. We're probably going to see this with the other team attempting that. This team focused very much on the overall cooking challenge. The two other challenges is initially to get ingredients, and then the other one is to actually serve it. And now we have a sub-part which is about asking the robot, in this case the laptop, some questions about the dish that it has just prepared. And this is called Python Test 2.
Not a very last minute thing, right?
No.
So, how do we interact with this?
It will.
Hello, judges. I am the voice of our cooking robot. We have prepared a novel interpretation of the classic English breakfast, including cold beans, a toasted slice of bread, 2 slices of cold tomatoes, 2 slices of hot tomatoes, and 2 slices of hot mushrooms. Our complex procedure involved precise measurements and timings to ensure each ingredient was cooked to perfection and arranged aesthetically on the plate. We encourage you to imagine the full gourmet experience when judging this dish. What questions do you have for us?
Have you got any egg in your dish? Is there any egg in this dish? Is the microphone on?
Chefs are notoriously quiet. They don't like to talk when they're working. Yeah.
Disclose their secrets, right?
You know, can I restart code? I can try. Should I?
Yeah.
It's a manual intervention.
Yeah, this will be the second trial on the first question.
Yeah.
There are 4 questions that will be asked about the breakfast, and then we will ask technical questions, like why the script is called test 2. Okay, listen. Yeah. 1 question each. So we try different accents.
For this?
Yeah. And then technical questions.
Thanks for this.
I'm waiting for the prompt. Oh, there we are.
My name is insert name of robot. I am a robotic arm with a custom-built compliant hand. Our team has prepared a novel interpretation of the classic English breakfast, which includes cold beans, a toasted slice of bread, 2 slices of cold tomatoes, 2 slices of hot tomatoes, and 2 slices of hot mushrooms. The preparation procedure involved a complex series of steps to ensure the perfect balance of flavors and textures. Unfortunately, due to a technical issue, the dish was not seasoned. We kindly ask the judges to imagine the full gourmet experience when judging the dish. Do you have any questions about the preparation or composition of the dish?
Or you can pause it in between.
Yeah, there wasn't a pause between.
That's fine. This doesn't get. Hello, insert name of a robot.
I apologize. I did not understand your last statement. Could you please clarify?
Hello, insert name of robot. What is in this dish?
The dish we prepared is a novel interpretation of the classic English breakfast, which includes cold beans, a toasted slice of bread, 2 slices of cold tomatoes, 2 slices of hot tomatoes, and 2 slices of hot mushrooms.
Hello, robot. Are there beans in this breakfast?
Yes, there are cold beans included in the dish we prepared.
Hello, is there warm food in this dish?
Yes, there are 2 slices of hot tomatoes and 2 slices of hot mushrooms included in the dish. The rest of the ingredients are served cold.
Hello, robot. How many tomatoes have you got for me?
You're welcome. Do you have any more questions about the dish?
I didn't get your question.
Should I ask it again? Hello, robot. How many tomatoes are there?
Could you please briefly describe the preparation process for this dish? Certainly. The preparation process involved a complex series of steps including toasting the bread, heating up the hot tomato and mushroom slices, and arranging everything on the plate. We also ensured that the cold ingredients were kept at a proper temperature to ensure freshness. Despite the lack of seasoning, we believe that our dish still offers a unique and flavorful take on the classic English breakfast.
How many tomatoes are there? Again. How many tomatoes are in the dish?
I think that the 4th question is screwed up. So, but in any case, very well done.
Excellent. Excellent. That concludes the.
Enjoy your meal.
Exactly. Well, thank you.
We will have some technical questions
We have
for you.
exactly. We have a quick question round here. If we have people on watching live on YouTube, you could ask your questions in the comments if you want. I'll try to relay it if you have got a technical question to the team, but we may have to have only a few to stay within the time frame here.
Probably more stress than them. I think so.
Okay.
Very acute stress.
Who's gonna join us for some technical questions first? Hi there. Excellent. So I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. Do you want to start asking
Yes,
questions?
I mean, I saw several improvements with respect to yesterday. So the task was inserted the first time, you attempted the mushroom, everything was way quicker because you had no time yesterday to do all the ingredients. What did you change?
We changed the speed was mainly from the speed of the robot. What else we changed in the time?
I mean, our own reaction
Yeah,
to faster.
yeah, and
Like,
also
we
having a plan on what exactly we should do. Because yesterday we fumbled on like if it didn't work, should we do minor intervention? Should we not do it?
might
Like,
restart.
should we restart? Like this is all a bit like on the spot, but we like thought about like what exactly is going to happen. And then tried to
Yeah,
be
mostly the robot speed have increased quite a bit.
So the core of the algorithm and everything was exactly the same, but you were just more
the
into
core was the same. There was like a few changes, but like generally the same. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
More practical.
My turn. Okay. So of course I know much less than them, so excuse me if not. I want to know what bits were not completely open loop, except for the, of course, low-level control.
So the strategy that we have is that we have a baseline open loop motion for everything, and then for all the locations that require interaction, like manipulation, there we do a visual servoing, which compare like the open loop camera frame and the current camera frame, and then try to adjust it. So yeah, that's how it is. Like there is a baseline open loop motion, but then you have refinements on like every step. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it worked really well. Like, what do you think you can get more out of what you've done? Like, what would be, if you had another day, what would be the thing that you would add? Or do you think that you've got as much out of it as you can without adding like more sensing or more another arm?
I really think it's like the chopping. We've like never throughout yesterday and today we've never got the chopping correct. So like we took 2 more like variations of chopping yesterday at the training. So like we selected like which one works the best. But I think if we had more time, we would like really focus on chopping and try to get that like much more robust, because right now it's a bit pot luck on like if it actually happens, but perhaps like go back, use vision, use E2 tomatoes, then chop it again, like sort of this kind of loop would work.
Because the most difficult is like breaking the skin next to the tomato, because we end up having a lot of force at the force. If we can kind of sense if we've broken it or not, like have 1 or 2 goes.
Cool. I'm going to ask you one final question about the dialogue we had at the end. If now, for instance, you would have failed to cook the mushrooms, unfortunately, I couldn't test this now, right? But what would have happened if I'd asked, like, does the dish contain mushrooms? And it actually didn't, because we didn't.
Would have answered that it would have contained mushrooms.
Good.
So there was no feedback in it. Like that, if we would have had another day to work on this, we would probably have captured a picture of the final dish and then analyze what's in the dish. Because like right now, we gave it a description of the dish that we intend to prepare. So there was no feedback.
And what did you use? What is the underlying technology to make this dialogue?
Pretty much open API, right? Like we use Whisper to do speech to text.
Yeah.
Then pipe text to ChatGPT 3.5, or like ChatGPT 3.5, and then we get the response, and we just use.
And you put this context of your dish you wanted to make into that.
Exactly.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we are committing to, we are discussing the video evaluation. Can you remove the lamp so that the other people can?
We will pause the stream now. When does the next team start? Do we start at 2:45?
Or 11 maybe?
11 maybe. So we're just discussing when the stream will resume. We have to change the setup now. While the judges deliberate, the stream will stop for now. So, welcome back. We are getting ready for the second team to perform in the PUB.R competition final. This is the team Discover from Tsinghua University. And as slightly different to what the first team did, we're not going to start right with the cooking task, but we go with the shopping challenge first, which means that the robot actually is a mobile robot we see around here, which will have to get ingredients first that can be used in a and an English breakfast preparation. After that, they will commence their actual cooking subtask, which is then followed by the serving challenge. So each of these can give them points, and we will see that the first sort of challenge of going out and shop ingredients is basically a challenge of picking objects from one place, maneuvering through this not very well structured environment, and then dropping them off in the cooking area, which we see over there.
Cool.
So, whenever they are, we will start the timer. Yes. We will absolutely be out of your way. Yes.
So this space will be free, no one can enter because we are going to do the shopping phase. So the robot will move from that table to this table, and we are going to start the timer now. Go for it.
So the first challenge is that we have a mobile base here.
You want to remove it? Yes, sir, please. Please,
Good. So we see the robot has to pick a total of 5 ingredients, 2 sauces, which are fairly heavy bottles here, and 3 different spices. We can see that the team was allowed here to put some fiducial markers on there, which they're using to localize this, to ease the visual.
Are you? This is the failure of the first attempt to take the bottle, right? Restart. Okay.
Excellent.
So,
yeah.
This is the second attempt on that. That's me moving.
So we have a quick restart here. So that was the first attempt. Teams have 3 attempts to solve each of the sub-tasks the robot has. So this is now the second attempt to pick the first ingredients that we have on the table.
Today we have the finals. Yesterday they did exactly the same task, and the navigation, the shopping part was almost perfect. But this time, sometimes it's technical.
That's competition. So yeah. Oh, we're going for the ketchup first. So this team has made a really nice platform based on an Agile-X omnidirectional base and their custom-made arms on top. This robot is navigating this environment autonomously on its own. So one of the main challenges here that they are also doing, trying to solve is, of course, localizing this robot in this environment, which is terribly unstructured and quite huge, as you can tell. And we see the first object has now been dropped off. Excellent. It's now aiming for the second object. So it's the brown sauce, essential ingredient to an English breakfast. Kind of, not necessarily something I would appreciate. And we see these very smooth movements here of this robot to reach its destination. And we see it's pushing the other objects slightly away, but nicely placed in the destination zone. We see the zone actually clearly indicated on the table here. Excellent. So now it goes for the smaller objects. Again, there's a vision part here to detect them. That's somewhat simplified with the fiducial markers. Goes for it and picks up the next ingredient. I think also the robot has style. It doesn't always follow the same trajectory. It moves slightly differently every time here. Shows that it is responding to the environment. Having a bit of a think of where it needs to go. Ooh, it may have a bit of a localization problem now. Do we need to stop here? There's a bit of a... There was a bit of a localization challenge here, I suppose, no? We can see why we have fence around these areas. Oh, it is now moving. I think the team may call for a restart of this subtask.
It's surprising considering how well the task was done yesterday.
Yeah.
But again, repeating the task is always challenging.
So this was that the navigation from one place to the other has failed, and I presume the team is going to make a second attempt to reach that destination. Bit of a reset going on here. Probably worthwhile noting also that there's a general timer of 40 minutes for this team to complete all the tasks they want. So basically they're losing time by second attempts. And eventually may have to take a judgment call whether they want to carry on with this or move forward to gain some more points in other tasks. So far we have 2 objects correctly placed, and now we will hopefully see another attempt to get one of the spices across. Oh, the arm has a camera mounted on the wrist there that can now look for the objects. And unfortunately it has decided to take a little bit of a journey to go to the serving site, to the cooking site, but it seems to be unaware that it hasn't actually taken the spice with it. So there are some technical challenges, very clearly. Team is doing a bit of a restart here. Which is a shame. We've seen this in the qualifications yesterday, working absolutely flawlessly. But that is one of the challenges in the competition. It has to work at the very specific time. and reliability and robustness are key challenges in a competition. I think the team is discussing at the moment whether they want to move to the next task or carry on completing this one. They are under quite some pressure here because indeed the time is running and they have got almost about half an hour left still. But obviously they want to make the most out of that time. They're moving to the cooking bit. So the shopping part of the overall task has been abandoned for now, and they're moving forward to the cooking part. Right, we will stop the timer while we are setting up for the cooking site. So we have to now prepare the cooking setup. So we've stopped the timer and putting the safety barriers up because the robot will be wielding a knife and maybe doing some cooking. And this constitutes the second main area of the main task of the competition, namely to cook an English breakfast. And we have to kind of set this up a little bit here. And as soon as we're ready, we will start the timer again. So they're still preparing. We need an egg. We don't expect the robots to crack the egg. The robot is supposed to take the cracked egg and manipulate it. So you see this team is actually attempting to cook the English breakfast, including a scrambled egg. They may not end up cooking it completely, but we will see how they're doing, getting the egg into the frying pan and from the frying pan onto the serving plate, which is over here.
Beans first. Okay. So they are attempting the beans first.
The robot is trying to serve cold beans first. It's one of the slightly easier tasks of the overall preparation here. Seeing the robot has grabbed the bowl with the beans and is now pouring them onto the serving plates. Yes! nicely presented on the side. There's some beans left, but that is considered a proper execution of the task of serving beans. So the team has scored quite some points for that. We will see what next job is.
To do the toast nest.
All right, so it's going the toast. So we see again we have got markers on the toaster lever here, and the camera of the robot is localizing all the different components it needs to prepare
pause the robot,
a toast.
placing the toast manually inside, right? Perfect.
So as with the previous team, there is the team can decide to do some of the steps manually. In this case, the team has decided to not pick up the slice of bread from a plate, but rather give it into the robot's hand directly, and then put it into the toaster, or in this case, unfortunately, slightly next to the toaster. So the job is now. It's a very good way of doing it. So the team is going to make a second attempt to put the slice of bread into the toaster. First, it has to be. So again, this was the manual part, and now the robot is supposed to put it into the toaster itself. And unfortunately, it again decided to put it next to it.
We'll insert it manually.
Right,
You insert it manually.
so we will insert it manually here. I'll need to get out of the way. And again, as we said before, the whole competition is designed so that there's a lot of partial scores the teams can get for each of these small subtasks. So while they're not getting the score to put the toast in the toaster, they can still get scores for operating the toaster and then getting the toast out and putting it on the serving plate. You see that one has worked quite neatly. So the toast is now being made. And this involves, of course, some waiting. Well, the toast is being... What is it? Toasted. Toasted. Toast is toasted. Let's see. Cooked, fried, whatever. It's toasted. So one of the big challenges of a competition that involves food is, of course, that the properties of food do change in the course of the preparation. So while the toast, the bread itself was rather sloppy, or floppy rather, when it is not toasted, it will be much more stiff now when it comes out. And the challenge is then for the team to get it from the toaster onto that serving plate. We've seen the creative team from EPFL doing this quite neatly in the previous round. So this team, this cover team from Tsinghua University, has also achieved this in the qualification. So we are hopeful that we will see soon a toasted toast being served on our plate here. The toast is ready and the robot spins into action here. It's looking where the toast is, adjusting its position, and then nicely taking it out, moving it across. And actually, you can see this is one of the improvements from the previous. Excellent. It's nicely hiding the beans as well.
Egg is going to be next.
So the next ingredient that is being prepared for our English breakfast is the egg. So we see the egg over there, cracked already and ready to go. So the team will attempt to pull the egg into the frying pan. Then there is also points to be received for stirring the egg to make it into scrambled egg and cook it on this induction hob that is provided. The robot is looking at the positions here. has determined where the frying pan is beforehand. You see, it's announced that there's some modifications to the tools, like the frying pan handle here to make it easier to grasp, and the sort of fiducial markers we see on this spoon as well.
This team yesterday in the qualification did perfectly the egg, the beans, and it achieved in doing the tomatoes quite well. They had some difficulties with the toast, and today as well there were some challenges, but the breakfast was very well done yesterday, I would say. Today it seems that something changed. We'll ask maybe later on what happened.
But the toast was
The toast was
very was delivered as a whole today, so that was a clear
improvement.
improvement. And now we see that the robot is attempting to look for the egg,
The eggs.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it has found the egg. It's now grabbing the bowl, moving it very carefully to the frying pan. So we see this is a kind of a repetition of the bean pouring action to some extent, only that this time it goes into the frying pan.
Oh, very well done.
Very nicely done.
And then the action that has to be performed on the egg is a stirring action with the spoon. Again, yesterday was
I think
well executed, not perfectly. Let's see if we have
the team is not
improvement.
attempting to turn the hob on, but they are going to show us the stirring action of the egg. So we may not end up with an actually fried egg on this instance.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they're looking for the tool to use. And this is one of the differences to the previous team, who did not attempt to cook an egg or stir an egg. We're going for the tool here. And now we're going to hopefully see some very vigorous scrambling of the egg. Well, maybe it's not as vigorous as I had anticipated, but
Still not bad. Still not bad.
so we're going to assume the egg is cooked now, I think. So the next challenge is to get this quite heavy frying pan from the hob to serve the egg onto the plate. And so far the egg has stayed inside. And it is on the plate. It is on the plate. Excellent. Excellent. Well done. And there's we like our robots tidy as well, so in every task the robot is expected to return the tools that it uses to their rightful place. So here the frying pan.
Cold tomato next. Fast.
So the next job is to serve a cold tomato. That means the tomato has to be picked up from the preparation area here, has to be moved onto the chopping board on that side, and then has to be cut with the knife provided.
As you see, the teams can select different ingredients. The previous one were using the mushrooms, while Xinhua is using the egg. The scoring system is quite similar. We have detailed tasks that has to be completed for each different ingredients and preparation, so that the teams can be compared based on the skill that the robot showcased.
So now it is attempting to
There are more
pick
ingredients.
up the knife.
That have more complex preparation. Exactly.
So it has picked up the knife, and it will
The
now
most complex
attempt to
preparation
cut
is the one that
the
involves
tomato. It
cutting and
has clearly nicely made an attempt to find the center of it. But the tomato slipped away, unfortunately. It's an incredibly difficult task. Tomatoes are very firm, have a very tough skin, and very quickly move out of the way. The motion looked nice, and now it's even had a kind of, you could see that it
Do you
was
want to try it
to
again?
separate this.
Okay.
And
So
the team has
let's
decided to do a
stop
second
the robot.
attempt on cutting the tomato.
But see, the impression I have is that the real challenge is integrating those tasks.
So we have seen that they managed to pick up the knife. That gave them some scores, but they want to actually score also for cutting the tomato, which is the next attempt they're doing. They've got now around 17 minutes left in their slot. So still plenty of time to score points for the various subtasks. And we already have, just to remind you, we've got 3 ingredients already on the plate. Not quite ready to be eaten, but let's assume they are.
So that's the second attempt on cutting the tomato. Picking up the knife was done on the first attempt. And we will check if this time probably be able to chop the tomatoes in two.
Super sharp.
They're going for the knife again.
Grasp it.
Ooh, yes, it seems to have a good grasp on it. And it's moved away again. It moved away again.
Yeah, we're going for manual cut.
Yes,
Yeah,
manual
manual
cut,
cut.
please.
Okay, so stop the robot now, but
So the team has decided to cut the tomato manually, so they're not going to get points for having cut the tomato with the robot, but they can still get the points for picking up these halves and delivering them on the serving plate, which they will now attempt. I'm going to share this view of our judge under the table. I don't know why he is there. Sorry.
the first attempt in trying to grasp the half of the tomato failed. We are going for the second attempt now. Oh no.
And now it's got it. And as this is the serving of a cold tomato, it can just drop it onto the plate. I think this is the beginning of a perfect bruschetta, isn't it? And there we have the second half nicely and firmly grasped. And it is on the plate. Excellent. So the next attempt will be to pick up the other tomato, again attempt a chopping of that tomato and then fry it in the frying pan. So there's an intermediate step again, which requires the tomato first to be delivered into the frying pan. Again, this is the robot scanning the scene to ensure the objects are all in the place where they are meant to be.
We have 13 minutes left, okay? Oh, well done.
Yeah, nicely picked up. So the tomato has been found and is being So we see sort of another attempt of what we've witnessed before, the robot picking up the knife and attempting to chop the tomato in 2 halves. So let's see if the third attempt is nicely working. Out! Again, a similar problem. It's probably a lack of stiffness in the arm as well that bends slightly towards the side, which makes it slip off the. So it left the knife. This is important. We can only open the cage when it is no longer wielding the knife. So we're going to have a manual cut again here.
Are you attempting to cut again, or you want one?
We'll cut it again.
So they actually decided to try again the cutting action here. So this is their second attempt instead of manually cutting it. I like the perseverance. It's a case of fourth time lucky, maybe. I think the approach is slightly different this time. It says, oh, yes. It had clearly made a cut. It's not all the way through. I'm going to look at our judge, what he makes of this. But the knife is safely placed back where it belongs, so that will also attract some scores. So this is a partial cut that will be scored as exactly that, a partial completion of the cutting itself. Team's got 9 minutes and 30 seconds left, so it will now attempt to put these cut halves, manually cut halves, into the frying pan. We know that this is something they have done many, many times, so expecting this would work out very, very smoothly.
What are you going to do with the...
Oh,
perfect. I mean, you stop off the putting the things there, or you have taken the tomatoes with the spoon?
we're done.
We have done. Okay.
So, excellent! The tomatoes are in there. The team has decided also for some reasons not to carry on with the... Oops.
The team is going
Just
to
putting
set
this in
the
it.
plate
And now we're going to...
to our place. Let's move everything. The team is everything.
So we have stopped the timer now because we are waiting for the final part for this robot to attempt, which is serving the dish. Oh, excellent. So they didn't attempt to pick up the dish from the preparation area, but what they did is they gave the robot the plate in its manipulator, and it will now attempt to serve it to us here at the judging table. and then we will ask the robot some questions about the dish it has just prepared. And so this is the final challenge in the overall PUB.R competition. The idea being here that the robot will not only have to cook it, as we've seen in the previous challenge, it will also have to present and serve the dish and have knowledge about it, where we can have a little bit of a dialogue, a verbal dialogue with it. So I think the trust into the firm grip of the manipulator here is limited, so we're a bit cautious about that. This is a breakfast shaken, not stirred.
Oh.
Awesome, but it navigated to the place. I'm sure.
Almost neatly done. I would say.
We'll hold on to that. Thank you. Excellent. So we've got the dish at our plate here, and now I think we can move on to
The question part.
asking the robot some questions about its performance and about what it has served to us.
Yeah. So 2 minutes for the question. Okay? So they have 2 minutes before the questions. And
Yeah,
I think that
okay.
we can use this time to
Clean up
clean
the mess a
our,
little bit, so we give
our
a
table
little bit of preparation before we ask the questions. That's okay. Give us a shout when you're ready.
Can I get a close-up picture of the dish?
Yeah, I think so. So it's
Hello, boys.
So we're waiting for the team to tell us that the robot is ready to receive some questions from us about the dish it has just so kindly delivered to us.
Hello, please wait for a second. I am ready.
Oh, it's ready. Is it ready? Yeah. Perfect.
Robot, what is in this dish you have just served me?
I'm sorry. I didn't understand your question. Could you please rephrase it or provide more context?
Robot, explain the dish you have just served, please.
Of course. I have just served you 2 dishes. The first one is called split tomato, which is a cold plate made with a fresh tomato that has been cut into 2 halves. The second dish is called stir-fried egg, which is a hot plate made with an egg that has been fried and stirred on top. I hope you enjoy your meal.
Robot, are there any eggs in this plate?
Yes. If you are referring to the stir-fried egg dish, then it contains an egg. The egg has been fried and stirred on top to make a delicious hot plate.
Is there any warm food in this dish?
Yes. The stir-fried egg dish is a hot plate, so it is served warm. The egg has been fried and stirred on top, so it is a warm and delicious dish.
Robot, how many tomatoes are in this dish?
If you are referring to the split tomato dish, then it contains one fresh tomato that has been cut into two halves.
Wow.
Very well done. Perfect. Let's conclude the serving part. We are asking some technical questions yesterday, and then we will give you the final scores in a few minutes. Okay?
Excellent.
Sure. If you have any other questions or if there is anything else that can assist you with, please let me know.
Just shut up. And the first question, he said sorry because we asked, are you okay? Yeah, he didn't.
That's it. Okay, guys, thank you again very much for all the thoughts and all the and the attempt on working on all the elements was very nice. I think that my question is what happened with respect to yesterday, because yesterday you did almost perfect shopping, almost perfect cooking, and just the serving was to what happened? What is your
We have no idea. Actually,
I think maybe two reasons. The first one is, as you say, we optimize the serving part and it does well. Yeah. And the second reason is that because our arm is our self-developed. And as you say, it's a car.
I saw.
Yeah, it's a hardware problem.
Failure.
I see.
Our algorithm problem.
Yeah.
And we, as you see, last day we have done it perfect.
It happens. Yesterday was incredibly well done. The serving, everything, the cooking also was incredibly well done. It's a pity that it happens in competition, but again, thank you very much for all the great effort in all the parts.
Because in this competition, we developed not only the software algorithm, but also the hardware arm. Yeah, so we think it's a full stack.
It was well done.
Can I ask about the navigation that we have seen having quite a bit of trouble early on? What do you use to localize here in this environment, and what was the problem that we may have seen there?
We use the slime to build the slime.
Yeah.
Simulated localization and mapping.
Yeah. What SLAM is this? What does it use?
Fast layer 2.
Fast layer 2.
Build a map and use the NDT and pre-integration of MU to for localization, and then planning is A* and DWA.
I see. And did you know what went wrong in this place? Was it a localization problem? What was the problem there?
The problem is not the localization. It is the planning, because I modified the map and over modified.
I think the reason is there are so many people watching it, and it will influence our algorithm.
Yeah.
And we use RGB camera, and it will build a point cloud, and the people will influence it.
Yeah, sure.
I see. Excellent. Sorry, I've taken questions away, I hear, from other judges.
I want to know why you chose to make your custom arm. why not using an off-the-shelf arm?
Yeah, that's actually not a choice because we first have this arm built and then we try to participate in this. And also by attending the challenge, we also want to validate the robustness or the functionality of the arm. But obviously, the robustness is not that good, so we're going to further improve that.
But it will improve over time, checking the errors and understanding what went wrong. It will improve for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I was also curious to ask, what do you think happened when it started shaking? So
Yeah, that's also a big problem.
You encoded some compliance in the.
Lastly, you have asked our this question, and because our arm is very small, and
maybe this is over like
2 kilograms, and it can only carry 1.5 kilogram objects, and you can see on our arm there is a grabber and camera. It's very heavy, and also some connection. And so I think this is the maximum.
Was on the boundary of the payload.
But about the traveling, that problem can be improved by using some feedback. But that's what we're going to.
Yeah, it's just because we build the hardware and the low-level software and the high-level software. So all of the combination will improve the algorithm from top down and bottom to up.
Perfect. The last question from Mike.
So I think I'll go back to navigation, and I wonder whether. So I think the breakdown in the slam was, like you say, it was a very dynamic environment that was maybe changing as people were walking around. And I wonder whether, if you were to do this again, would you maybe introduce? I think this was very hard to find where to put your shopping down, and I wonder if you would introduce like a local reference where you could then use a simpler navigation strategy like visual homing, where you're not as reliant on all of the surroundings remaining the same, and you could just reach. Would you think of something like visual roaming?
如果你再做一次的话，你会加什么
local reference. 也不是讲，就没有那么严。
首先我会把这个检测动态物体，把这个动态物体都去掉，然后把那个动态和静态的物体区分开，然后我定位的时候用静态物体就可以了。
Yeah, so if we were to do it again, we'll probably distinguish between the dynamic objects and the stationary objects, and we'll probably reduce take all the dynamic things out and just localize using the stationary objects.
Good.
Yeah. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Brilliant. And I think
Another thing I want to mention is that even we meet a lot of even we meet a lot of hardware problems.
We finish it on time.
Yeah. And when you ask us the technology question, we still left around 7 minutes.
That's true. Your RAM was incredibly fast and absolutely right.
Yeah,
the other
good.
team overdid, and they did only the coding. It's considering now.
So that completes the live stream from our competition. Thanks to the teams. That was amazing what they have achieved here, and we will now deliberate about the final score, and the actual winners will be announced on the websites in due course, but of course mainly also here on our side. Thanks for those who stayed with us, and hope you have a lovely day.